A good soldering iron can be the difference between loving electronics and continuing forever or hating it and giving up super early. I know because I went through the troubles of that with a not so great soldering iron when I started out, but now I'm excited to review this that I got from FNIRSI, I believe it's called, or I just call it FNIRSI, but this is their HS-03 wireless soldering iron. And we're gonna try this out today. It has swappable batteries, so if you're out somewhere, you can keep it going. It's a pretty smart iron, and it's got some pretty good tips and features that we're gonna check out in this video. Anyway, so let's jump over to the overhead camera and start unboxing this. All right, so let's get right into it. Also, later on, I'm gonna solder up a bunch of these little boards with through-hole parts and some surface mount parts so that you can see how the iron performs in each. But getting started, I've already kind of cracked the tape here, so let's open it up. Really nice case that comes with all of their kind of stuff. I have this from the oscilloscope that I have over here. But let's get started. So we open it up, and we have a couple tips at the top here, a manual, which I've given a skim, and we have a little charging cord and a couple other things, little screwdriver here. But let's check out these tips, because that's going to be one of the main big things about this iron. Is it has these 210 tips, which, as you can see, are very, very small, which is great for doing kind of surface mount stuff or small work, because if you have a big iron, you end up spreading solder everywhere. These are some of my tips from a previous iron, and as you can see, all of them are just, like, even the smallest tip that I have is still really large in comparison. So I'm super excited to try out these tips for doing a lot of like surface mount rework and stuff like that. But here we go. This is the iron. This is the HS-03, and it comes with what I think is a little stand. So if you set it down on your desk, you can just rest it in there and not have to worry about it. It might also be good for travel. Not going to knock anything around. But let's get it started. I'll put this case off to the side. The first thing you're going to want to do, well, first I'll give you guys this. We're going to peel this off. Ready? Okay, that wasn't as satisfying because it had the tape at the top, but still pretty good. We'll put that over there. So the first thing you want to do when booting it up is you're going to need to pick a tip. It's also going to ask you which language you want to do, and I'm going to use this chisel tip because we're going to do the surface mount components first. I'll keep that there too. So you plug it in real good. Let's see. This is my first time using an iron like this, or this kind of tips. So I'm excited to try it out. And you press and hold the OK button to turn it on. Gives you a little screen here, and then it'll give you the language. You just select that. Next, hit OK, and it boots up. So it's got this cool little wheel, scroll wheel at the top here. As you can see, the temperature, you can select between 300, 350, 400, 450. Just super easy to change between them without having to press a button 1,000 times. So we're going to go ahead and start at 200 here. And it boots up apparently just right to it. Awesome. Let's jump it up to 3. And it should climb really fast. Awesome. That's pretty impressive. Let's see how fast it cools back down to 250, because these are thin tips, right? No way, it's already there. Wow. Okay, so it's smoking a little bit. I do have a fume extractor here, but I'm not going to put it on too much just so we can do the video properly. But first I'm going to show you the settings, and then we'll get into soldering up a bunch of different boards and seeing how it performs. So to get into the settings, you're going to double tap OK, and then when you're here, double tap OK again, and that gives you this set of options. So the sleep, it's default set to sleep after 10 minutes and then stay on standby for another 10 minutes. So if you just are using it and it's set to 300 and you set it down and walk away, you can change that so that it's going to adjust after 10 minutes, it'll turn down to a set temperature, in this case, 100 degrees. So we're going to double tap OK to get back again. You can see handle options. It has, when you press the up and down buttons, it's going to jump by 10 degrees, but you can vary that. And also it has a temperature calibration where it will go to the set temperature and you can test it out. So 150, 250, 350. And if you have one of those little probe things to calibrate them, you can do that, but I don't. So we're gonna go back here, and finally down into system, you can select the language, which hand you're holding it in. So it varies based on the buttons you press, I believe, because this would be, I don't know. Anyways, you can switch between Fahrenheit and Celsius. I'm Canadian, so we're gonna go Celsius. And then volume. In this case, I might turn it off for the video, but we'll keep it on. And then brightness, roll settings, and firmware update. So we're gonna go back, and next up, I'm going to set up one of these boards, and we can start by soldering this and see how it goes. Let me just do one more test, cranking it up to 450 and seeing how long it takes to get there. Okay, that's really fast. Oh, gonna have to hit the fume extractor on that. But wow, okay, so it climbs really fast to get there and seems to be holding temp pretty well. Now if we drop back down, it's not getting too hot anywhere around here. But anyways, I'm gonna cut and let's jump back and do some soldering. And oh yeah, before I start soldering, let's check out actually the main feature of this thing, which is the hot swappable battery. So they include a little screwdriver on the back here where you can unscrew this. Let's do that. And we'll take this out. As you can see, this pops open here. And what you have inside is just a regular 18650 battery, which means if you carried a bunch of these, you can just keep going. Like you don't have to stop, charge it up. It's not like the other ones. This is actually a massive feature if you're going to be out on the go and you don't know when you're going to be able to charge next. You simply just put the battery in, close it up, and then put this screw back in. Simple as that, which is a really nice feature to have, especially if you're going to be out in the field or something like that, and you don't have a spot where you can go and charge it back up. All right, it's now time to do the surface mount test. I've got this little rig up here right now just to get a little bit closer to the camera. We're going to start off with this SOP 18 chip here, and then we also have the bent kind of elbow tip on there. So let's go ahead, start it up again, hit OK. As you can see, it starts to heat up. We're going to go 350 and check this time. It's doing a little bit of smoking, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. And then I'm just going to go in and go super slow and touch up each one on this side. And this is no flux and lead-free solder. And with shaky hands and everything. This tip is really nice for kind of dragging it down. Like I see I got a blob here. It heats it up really well, and then I can just drag it off. I'm gonna go ahead and clean that off. Yeah, see that? So that just comes down to using flux. That's not anything to do with the iron. Look at that. So as you can see, it's rough on that side, but you know this is hard to do by hand, especially if you're not drag soldering, which I'm gonna do for the second side here. So I'm gonna switch back to the chisel tip, do a little drag soldering. Actually, before that, I am gonna place just a much smaller component here so we can try that out. Sweet. So it's literally just that simple. I mean, as far as it goes for, that's this side that I actually did proper. You see how it's like, all these ones I did with previous iron and stuff, and they're kind of crazy. But this one right there, see how it's just the smallest amount, perfectly flows up? I feel like that's the kind of like precision that you can get just with a small tip here. I'll try and just put a little blob of solder on some of these 02, 01 pads here. I don't know if you can see. I'll try and move it back a little bit there. I'm just gonna put a little bit down right there and see how it goes. So this is where it's really gonna shine, because I could not just touch one pad before. Wow. Okay, so again, I think this is gonna be really helpful for just getting into like tight spaces when you just need to touch up one thing, specifically like a USB-C or something like this. So this is a really tiny tip here, but as you can see, it conducts enough heat to like easily melt this unleaded solder. This melts at like 200 or something, so this is pretty impressive in my books. But anyways, let's turn this off here, and yeah, we're already down one notch, and that's just from this kind of soldering. So I actually have a bunch of boards. Let me see if you can turn it just right off here to the side. I'm gonna try and solder all these on this remaining battery life, and that'll be everything from the view, and we'll see what the battery life is like, and then I'll try and charge it back up again. All right, so I got everything set up. I have my ESP32 here, and I put the pins on the breadboard, and all I'm gonna do is just drop the chip on top, or the board on top, so it sits on there, and it makes it a little easier to put all those pins on. So here we go. I'm gonna get it started now. We're gonna turn on the fume extractor, so sorry if it gets a little loud, but bear with me. Anyways, let's get these going. I'm also gonna throw on a couple magnifying goggles just because I don't have the best vision. But yeah, so let's get it. We're set to 350 here. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a little wipe, tin it up a little bit, which it melts nicely on there. Clean that off, and let's do it. Okay, so I tack just the one side, then we're gonna go along and do each pin. So far it's working really well, like, especially with this big chisel tip. I'm not having any problem melting this solder. It's pretty much instantaneous when I touch it. But as you can see, you want to make contact with the pad and the pin, and then kind of push the solder in from the other side, and boom, those are looking really, really good. Let's see if you can see those there. Really impressed with it so far. Some of my best work, I think. Yeah, I've been soldering for like a good over half a year now, and this might be my best solder joint. Let's see, pry that off. Really impressive. Like even though I'm using the same solder, it's shinier. Like I think it just kept the heat and distributed it really well. Awesome. All right, so I'm gonna do the final soldering test. We've already done one ESP32 mini and those other soldering tests, but now we're down. We've lost about 1 bar on the battery, if we see here. So what I'm gonna try and do and see where it's at afterwards is solder 4 more of these boards and 2 Picos. Hopefully this will give a kind of, like, this should be about the sort of soldering you're doing for a project. Maybe it's a little closer together. So I'll try and take some breaks in between each board and like set it down, see how well it does on that front. But until then, let's just get into it and start soldering and see what it's at afterwards. Oh, it actually went back. It's still at 3 bars. So that must have just been a temp. Oh, there you go. It is down at 2 bars now. So after all that use, it's lost about 1 of the 3 bars, but let's get into it and solder these up and see where it's at after. All right, so we just finished up. We have all 5 of these boards now. This was the one from earlier. We have all 5 of these boards and the Picos, which is a reasonable amount of work to do, and we're only down to about halfway on the battery now. I'm sure it might tick over down to the 1 bar, but in terms of, I've been using this thing for a little bit, you could easily do what you need for an entire project. Especially I set the sleep mode to only about 1 minute, and the time, the like breaks in between was only about 5 minutes. So it's been on for a good amount of time and delivering heat. So I think this is a good unit, but I'm gonna give my final thoughts once I'm done testing it out. But so far so good. All right, I'm just trying to burn through this last little bit of battery. It's been sitting here. As you can see, I pick it up, it turns on. We're down to 1 bar left, but I've just been running beads on this proto board. And I wanted to show you kind of how it keeps temp, and it's pretty cool that as you're going along, you can actually see the temperature drop, which is kind of nice, because then, like, if you are doing a big long thing, or you've been, I don't know, something that really soaks up the heat, you can literally see the temperature drop. And also, I just wanted to show you as well that it can be used while you're charging it. I plug it in here, it starts charging, and look at that, it's still, oh, sorry, there we go. It's still usable, like it's right up to temp. Let me unplug that again, because we're right down to the 1 bar, but let me run just a bunch of lines along here, and I'll try and keep this turned so you can see the temperature too. Let me just start this up. I'm not too coordinated hand-eye, so. Oh, let me just feed more. But see on the screen there, you can actually watch the temperature drop down as I'm running a bunch of solder, because that cools the tip and it has like active readings. So it's nice to be able to see exactly what your tip temperature actually is. Because then if you're doing something like this, by the time you get to the end of it, it's actually like 290 or something instead of the 350 that you set it to. But I mean, that's expected for any iron. What you're doing is pulling the heat away from it. Oh, there we go. We just got low voltage, so the battery is now done. And I believe we then have to turn it off. So now I'm gonna go ahead and plug it in, and we'll see how long it takes to charge. But in total, that was like, I left it on, it would be sitting there. I soldered all these boards. I ran all these lines on this. I did a surface mount practice board. Like, it's been on, I've kind of run it through its paces, and it held up through it all. So I think in total that runtime was about an hour, hour to 2 hours of like legitimate use, and as well then just like setting it down, leaving, coming back. That extends it out probably to closer to the 2 hours. But now I'm going to go ahead and plug it in and see how long it takes to charge. All right, so it's all done charging now, and the total time was probably about an hour and a half to charge up to full charge here, and it's ready to go again. And it should last about 2 hours on the charge. Again, it might take a little bit longer, but again, I had it plugged in for about an hour and a half, and then it's showing full charge. But yeah, good to know. So my review of it is, it's a pretty sweet little iron. It's great if you're going to be like out and on the go. If you ever plan to do any like field soldering, it's a great option to have, especially since it has the swappable batteries. If you do go with something like the TS101, you can power it with like a portable like battery pack, but I find this is going to be a little bit in between if you're going to get like a benchtop unit or have something portable. So if you have a benchtop unit, this is definitely the way to go for like a portable thing. It's got that built-in battery. And if you're just getting started and you're not sure how much you're going to be using it, it can be great because you just have it on your desk, and when you need it, you just pick it up, turn it on, and it's ready to go in like just a couple seconds. And you're going to have a clean workbench, and it's I don't know, like it makes sense to me in that way. I'm definitely going to be using this a lot more after this review for all my projects, because again, I like to keep it pretty clean on the workspace, so being able to just pull this out and use it quick is pretty awesome. And the fact that you can use it while it's charging too just makes it all that much better. But basically this worked pretty well. We got all these boards out of it and all that testing that we did earlier. And so as you can see, I just went through and ran solder beads around this until it was done and recharged. But yeah, that's kind of my review. I think for the price, this thing is definitely worth the money. Like I paid about 110 US or Canadian for this TS101, and it's a great little iron, but I do have like gripes about having it plugged in all the time with this barrel jack. And as you can see, like I'll start it up and it heats up pretty fast, a little bit faster than the HS-03, but the other side of that is that you have to have this big cord attached, and when you switch to using like a power pack or something like that, it's going to end up taking just as long, if not a little bit longer, honestly. So yeah, overall, I like this thing. I'm going to be using it a lot more. I recommend checking it out. I actually have a link in the description where you can buy this, and it kind of helps the company track how many people bought this through this video. Again, I'm not like, the incentive for me is that I could get more stuff, but it's not worth getting more stuff if I'm going to be out here lying. So this is my genuine review of the thing. Like I said, if you're really doing a bunch of production stuff, get a benchtop unit. That's going to be the go-to. But if you have a benchtop unit, this is going to be a great for like on-the-go soldering. Or if you're just starting out, this is a great option because you can just turn it on, do a little bit of soldering, and like it pretty much covers your needs for getting started. And it's a great temperature controlled iron. I really like being able to see the tip temperature change as you're soldering, as well as using these tiny JBC tips. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, if you want to check that out, links in the description, but thanks for watching.